So in the Birkas Shmueil, we talked about what the Gaon wrote in the Mishnah of Peah, Elud Varm She'enem Shiur, about Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. So I could summarize basically the Chiddush that I see in the Gaon in a nutshell, but the Birkas Shmuel is going to take us a whole step further than that. But basically what he says is like this, and the Birkas Shmuel wrote this in the first paragraph of Os Dalet, that don't say that Bidul Torah means that the Mashgiach knocks you on the head and say, "Where were you? Bidul Torah, you're not around. That's no good. What are you doing with yourself?" So the meaning is not that all the time, that of course even anybody understands there's certain things you have to do that you can't be learning all the time. So that attitude that, well, where are you, is basically based on that the things you must do is a dechiyah, and it pushes off the Isur of Bidul Torah. So as long as there's something to push it off, you're okay. But when the Mashgiach knocks, you have to have a good excuse. Where were you? If you don't have something to push it off, you're in trouble, Bidul Torah. So he says that's not the case. Bidul Torah is not on the side of you're learning, or you're supposed to be learning, and then the question is, were you learning all the time? And you need a dechiyah not to be learning all the time. Not true. Bidul Torah is a concept about the rest of the time. When the things you have to do. That's not a question of Bidul Torah. I don't need to say it's Darchei Bidul Torah, because it's not shaykh Bidul Torah. It's not shaykh to learn. There's something else you have to do, and therefore you're not learning. You're doing whatever that other thing is. The question is, in your free time, then what happens? Because the concept of Bidul Torah is, when you have free time to learn, then where are you? Bidul Torah, where are you? How come you're not learning? So that we switched the definition there of Bidul Torah according to the Gra. Bidul Torah is defined by, where's your head? What do you do in your free time? When you don't have something else that's occupying you. So what are you doing then? Where's your learning then? And that's his definition. Now, the basis of that is that the Gra writes, the mitzvah of Talmud Torah has no minimum shiur. That is to say, one word in the daytime, one word in the nighttime is able to poter a person's chiyuv. Therefore, I don't ask about what if the rest of the time, if that's all the time he has, if that's all the time he has is time for one word in the daytime and one word in the nighttime, then I don't ask him about Bidul Torah. That's all the time he has. So it's when he has more time than that, he doesn't use it, then I have Bidul Torah. So the redefinition of what Bidul Torah is comes from this concept of the Gra, that there's no minimum in Talmud Torah. That's what we learned in the Gra so far. Now I'm ready for the Birkas Shmuel's kashas on the Gra. Now we're going to add a whole new vista in what the Gra said. So the Birkas Shmuel writes, I have a kasha on what the Gra said. When he says, Ein lehem shiur, kol rega v'rega me'ayom mechuyev, im kein, tzorech havona. What did he say? Why not, like we learned in Tzitzis in the Gemara Shabbos there, that it's also kol rega v'rega. Therefore, if it's always a new mitzvah, then essentially the mitzvah is all the time. So I'll just tell you what that Gemara said. I printed it on the sheets, and I'm going to tell you what that Gemara says so we understand this first kasha. The Gemara says, Omer Avad Abrahavo, Limute Tzitzis, Letaliso Mezuzah Lepitcho. Shein Makshirei Mitzvah Darchei Shabbos. The question is, in order to have tzitzis, do the work on Shabbos to tie them, which is the malacha. But if you won't have tzitzis otherwise, maybe it should be Darchei Shabbos. So the Gemara says no. No. The shiurim, the getting ready of the mitzvah of tzitzis, does not Darchei Shabbos. So they bring a raya, Tanya Namyochi. Veshavin, Shein Shimtzietz Taliso, Asa Mezuzah Lepischo Shuchayev, that because I have a brisa that says clearly to tie tzitzis or to nail a mezuzah in the doorpost is a malacha, and you're chayev for Shabbos on those things. So now the question is why? Why is it? It's on the first page. Gemara Shabbos Kuf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. My time. Amar Rav Yosef. Lefi she'ein kova lehem zman. Now, why is it that it's not Darchei Shabbos? Because there's no zman kavua. If there would be a zman kavua, so then you could say, when the zman comes, I have to do it. Like shechting a korban Pesach on Shabbos. But if there's no zman kavua, so then don't do it on Shabbos, do it before Shabbos. There's no zman kavua. Omalei Abaya. Adarabba. Mide ein kavua lem zman, kol shaita v'shaita zimno. So Abaya's kasha is, no, it's the opposite. If there's no zman kavua, that means every second is a mitzvah of getting ready your tzitzis, and therefore it comes Shabbos, and I have a mitzvah to get my tzitzis ready. I should be Darchei Shabbos and get the tzitzis ready, because right now is the mitzvah, this moment. If I said it doesn't have a time, so I say then don't. A mitzvah has a time. You could say it's Darchei Shabbos, but a mitzvah doesn't have a time. It's not Darchei Shabbos. Abaya said the opposite. He said, "You understand, Abaya? No, you don't get it. If tzitzis has no zman kavua,
if it knows zman kavua, then you're chayav all the time to do it.
If you're chayav every time to do it, then what happens when Shabbos comes? You're chayav to do it. So it should be Darchei Shabbos.
Right.
So Abaya's kasha is that you didn't solve your problem. You're trying to give a reason. I know the facts. I know the facts. The brisa says it's not Darchei Shabbos. A person who ties tzitzis is chayav on Shabbos.
Right.
Okay, simple.
Right.
That's the fact.
Right.
Question is, what's the reason?
Right.
Case law and factor. What's the reason?
Right.
So Rav Yosef gave a reason. He said, because it doesn't have a time when you have to do it. Well, a thing that has a time when you have to do it, and that time comes on Shabbos, you have to do it. Darchei Shabbos. But no zman kavua.
Right.
What's the law? It's not Darchei Shabbos.
Right, do it after Shabbos. You didn't do it before, do it after.
That's right, there's no zman kavua.
Right.
So why should it be Darchei Shabbos? Abaya disagrees on the tam. And he says, it's impossible to say that tam, that it doesn't have a zman kavua. Because that tam has the opposite effect. If there's no zman kavua, that means every minute is a mitzvah. Every minute is a mitzvah. Then also when Shabbos comes, it's a mitzvah. So tie them on Shabbos. You haven't explained yet why it's not Darchei Shabbos. That's a Abaya. And there's a teretz of Rav Nachman I don't need. I only need a Abaya. The concept I need to apply to Talmud Torah is, how do I understand that every minute is a new mitzvah? There's no kavua time. So there's no minimum shiur. And therefore every minute is another mitzvah. So I say the same thing about Talmud Torah. I'll read again in the Birkas Shmueil from this Gemara.
Where's Abaya here?
Abaya is the second to last line in the Gemara on page 1 there. I printed for you. Amalei Abaya. Adarabba. You saw that Gemara?
The Gemara in
Shabbos Kuf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. I printed on the pages. You want it inside the Birkas Shmueil? Yeah.
Okay,
So he says in the Birkas Shmueil,
in Dalet.
Kamot tzitzis. The Komar Gemara v'Sham b'Shabbos Kuf Lamed Aleph. Shavin shim tzayet tzitzis talis ve'osa mezuzah is chayav on Shabbos. What's the reason why it's not Darchei Shabbos? Rabbi Yosef said, "Ein kavua lehem zman." There's no kavua zman, and therefore there's no reason why it should be doche Shabbos. Abaye said to him, you didn't solve the problem. Your factor is not a valid factor. Why? Omele Abaye. Adarab. Mirein kovu lem zman, kol shaita v'shaito zimne. Every minute is the zman of tzitzis, and therefore it should be doche Shabbos. So you did not solve your problem. And I'm not interested in Rav Nachman's solution.
Okay.
Hare lehedyo. Now I'm going to prove what I want to prove from that Gemara. Hare lehedyo. When it comes to Talmud Torah, nikivin the achiyuvu al kol rega mishum hachi haveze choiva hakavua lo zman kol rega barega. So now I have a problem. You told me that Talmud Torah no minimum means that one word you're poter yochiyov, but really I don't get it, because kol rega v'rega is a mitzvah b'fnei atzmo of Talmud Torah. Then really you're chayav all the time, because you have to constantly do it. There's no kavua time to say on this minute I finished learning Torah for the day. So how do we solve our problem of Bidul Torah now, according to the Gra, if really you have to learn all the time? You don't get it?
Did we say the previous parak? In this Peh it said what the story was.
Yeah, what did the Gra say? He said that every minute is another mitzvah b'fnei atzmo.
Right.
But he also used at the same time the statement that every minute b'fnei atzmo is a mitzvah, that the minimum, that there's no minimum, and therefore one word is poter the person from learning for that day, assuming that the rest of the day he's Torah with what he has to do, and he doesn't have another minute left.
With mitzvah and derech eretz. That's what it said. Torah, b'mitzvah,
And derech eretz, that's right.
Which is a mitzvah also. That's
Right,
that's
very
the
good.
lesson he said.
So now, the Birkas Shmueil is asking a kasha on that. I understand minimum, no minimum, one word. I understand that that it removes your chiyuv, and every minute is another brand new mitzvah to value the mitzvah of learning Torah every minute. But I don't understand why there's not a constant chiyuv when you finish that 1 minute. So you got to learn the next minute.
Right.
And there's no kavua zman, even though it's no minimum shir. But it means to say you're going to have to learn all the time. So now how are we going to solve the problem of Bidul Torah? We're not going to be able to say like the Gra that the Bidul Torah is not a dechia.
No,
We're going to have to say it's a dechia.
You just answered it.
How did I answer?
You said that when you Torah, b'mitzvah, and derech eretz, which is also a mitzvah, then you're patur with the one word you said in the morning and the one word you said in the evening.
And
As
let me ask you the
and you're
simple,
guilty of
the simple
learning all day
chakira.
long.
Is Bidul Torah a
What's that?
dechia or a hutra?
Is a dechia?
Did it push away the obligation to learn Torah, or is it
Where? What do you mean?
in the moment when you're busy doing your derech eretz
It's
and your
not Bidul
mitzvahs?
Torah.
Why not? Is it a chia or is it a hutra?
And the second one is
It's
dechia.
it's mutter. It's not. I don't need to be doichet the mitzvah of learning Torah, because it's not shaykh to learn Torah.
That's what we were saying yesterday.
So now the Birkas Shmueil is attacking that assumption. And he says that doesn't make sense.
This one said-
You, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Why? Because it's very nice to say that one word is a mitzvah. In 1 minute, you were mekayim the mitzvah of learning Torah. What about the next minute? You don't have a mitzvah to learn Torah the next
You
minute?
do.
You do. So then, how did you ever stop learning Torah and do your things that you have to do? It must be that it's a dechia, not that it's allowed to do it.
Okay.
Because
Okay, good,
at the
good.
same time that I
So
say
when you
that
say,
one
mitzvah,
mitzvah, that's
You can't do
called
anything else,
that's
and then
called
no one else can
no.
do
The phrase osik b'mitzvah poter min mitzvah means a dechia. That you don't have to do it because you're doing something else. So the moment you're doing something else, I push away that mitzvah. Can't do both at once. So I push away one and I do the other. But that's not the pshat.
That's not
No, the Gra said that, and the Birkas Shmueil explained the Gra before this kasha, that it's not a dechia. It's not a dechia. You did the minimum, and after that, there's not a mitzvah that you have to push off. Now he's saying, if a bias svara is nozman kavua, means you're chayav all the time,
Right.
then how do you ever stop learning Torah, even for a second? Unless you'll say, the svara that we rejected before, that it's a dechia. We don't want to say that. We want to explain how the Gra explained. There's not a dechia. That it's not shayach bidul Torah except in the extra time after you finished all that. Then you have the problem of where's your head and what are you doing with yourself. So the Birkas Shmuel's kasha is that the two statements that every moment and moment is a new mitzvah by itself, and the statement that there's no minimum and you're yotzi with one word even if you don't have any more time than that in a day. Those two things don't go together according to Abaya. That's a kasha. So now, I'll read inside. Hari lehedya, the top line in the column. Hari lehedya, the kivan, the top line of the column. So Hari lehedya, the kivan, the achiyuv hu al kol rega mishum hachi have lechoivo hakavua lozman shel kol rega v'rega. It's a constant. Hachinami Talmud Torah kol rega v'rega have chiyuv b'fnei atzmo. Im kein lama nikra zeh dein lo shir lamato. Why did you say that there's no minimum and even one word? Sof habitul harega sheni. If you tell me that 1 minute is a mitzvah, but that doesn't help you, the next minute you're mevatel the limud that next minute. So how are you going to solve that problem? Well, how do you understand the Torah now, according to the Birkas Shmueil? You're really going to be obligated every single minute. And then we'll have to go back to saying Dechia. So he says, as another kasha. You're not giving the answer yet. I'll tell you another kasha.
So what's wrong with the being a Dechia?
Let me explain you. Let me explain you what I gained in the Gra. I'm going to tell you I'll tell you what's wrong with the Dechia. It's an excellent kasha. What's wrong with the Dechia? Why don't we learn that way? That the Birkas Shmuel don't learn that way. Why did he say don't learn that way in the first place? Why didn't he want to say that? I'll tell you why. Because when I say it's a Dechia, then your relationship to your learning is that you have to learn every minute, and when you don't, you don't. When you do, you do. I don't want it like that. I want it to be that you have to learn all the time. And at the same time, I want to say, and when you stop, because you have to do other things you must do. So you don't have Bidul Torah. You're potter. You learn Torah already 1 minute. And if you're Torah all day long, you learn Torah already. I gained 2 steps in the Gra. 2 very important steps by not saying Dechia. Everybody normally thinks Dechia. If you play hooky, all you need is a good excuse for the mashgiach. That's called a Dechia. But what about the fact that you didn't learn Torah? So what good is a good excuse? That's why I don't want to say Dechia. I don't want a good excuse. No. It's not. No, those two. No. You're mixing up. Don't say that. That's not true. They're not close by. They're far apart. Far apart. The Gra gained that every moment is a tremendous mitzvah. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. And we also gained another step. That it's not a question of constant push. You must learn every minute. It's a question of where's your head. Are you involved in Torah? What are you thinking about? What do you do in your spare time? If there's a Dechia, I don't have that concept spare time because you have to learn Torah all the time. So there's no sitting in spare time. But if I have the concept of spare time, then I can make a real, honest cheshbon nefesh of what is my relationship to learning. Because the real test of where you are in your learning is what happens in your spare time. I'm not arguing about we're going to get to this later on. Let's say there's things you have to do. I'm going to ask a nasty question. You're really sure that that's something that's mukhrach you must do? Or it's just that you're looking for terutzim and running away like the little kid running away from the mashgiach? So that's not an easy question. Who says that your cheshbonos are always right when you say, I've got to do this and I got to make a living, I got to do that, I got to run here and I got to run there? Who says you're always right? Okay, that's not an easy question to solve. We didn't get to that question yet. But at the starting point, to get the yesod straight, so I say, listen, let's assume that you do have to do all these things you have to do. But there's going to be some time left over in the day, unless you're an eved whose time is totally meshubad to your owner. But unless you're an eved, there's going to be some time left over. Eventually, you're going to get tired of running around. You'll come back to the Beis Midrash. Eventually, there's going to be a little spare time on your hands. And then what do? That's the test. That's the test of Bittul Torah. What do you do then? All that goes out the window if I say Darchei. So now you understand why the Birkas Shmueil is fighting for this point now. He has a kasha. What do you do about? So the first minute, the minimum one word in the beginning of the morning, and you're Yotzi Talmud Torah with that one word, because there's no minimum shir. You don't have to get up to a certain kazayas of learning Torah. No minimum shir. The problem is, if it's kol rega v'rega, then what do you do the second minute? What are you doing then? Bittul Torah. So then I'm back to Darchei, because I filled up the whole time with a chiyuv to learn Torah, and in order to do anything else, I'm going to have to say it's pushing away the mitzvah of learning. But then I don't have the same picture of what Bittul Torah is. That's why there's a kasha and teretz here. I'm not going to say the teretz, I'm going to say another kasha. Here's another kasha. The same kasha, but with a different source. Gam yesh lohavin means there's also another kasha. Yesh lohavin means there's a kasha. Gam yesh lohavin. Divrei Aran in the Dorim Daf Ches. Sheikshe.
You printed that for us?
I also printed it, Iran, for you. Read it first inside the Birkas Shmueil before I go to the pages I printed you.
Okay.
The Ran says, a kasha. The kasha is on something that the Gemara said. The Gemara said, the Shvua Chalo Lakayim Im Nishba Lilmoid Torah. If a person makes a shavua, I will learn Daf Yomi and complete Masechet Chulin. If a person says, I'll learn a parak of Mishnayos. If a person says, tomorrow I'm going to come to the shir and learn the Birkas Shmueil. Okay. If a person says a shvur, a neder like that, it's chal. This is the Gemara. You can have a shavua to learn Torah. The Gemara asks a kasha, Hamush Bamod Mi Har Sinai, but in Har Sinai we have a mitzvah to learn Torah. We know a shavua to do a mitzvah is not chal because there's already a shavua of Mushba Me'omed. So why did the Gemara say there's a mitzvah to learn Torah? I'm sorry, a shavua is chal when a person makes a shavua to learn Torah. Should be Mushba Bamod Mi Har Sinai. It's the Gemara's guy. I didn't get to the Ran yet. That's the Gemara. Umeshani. The boy potter nafshe b'kriyat shma shachar zarbes. The answer is, he could potter himself with one word in the morning or the night. So far, I'm not up to the Ran. I think this is the Gemara.
You didn't say one word, you said b'kriyat shma.
B'kriyat shma, because we explained before why we said kriyat shma, because anyway everybody's going to say kriyat shma. You're not going to say one word literally, one word of Torah in the morning, and potter yourself. You're still going to have to say kriyat shma. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa. Right. Even if you're Torah all day long, you're going to have to daven in the morning and daven in the night. Say kriyat shma, right? The toughest balabayas in the world has to let you say Kriyat Shema. Question is, does he have to let you come down from the tree or not? You can say it up on the ladder with a little less kavana, but you're going to have to say Kriyat Shema. So that's why we talk about Kriyat Shema, not one word. Now, back to here. Since he can potter himself with Kriyat Shema morning and night, Ha'chayev lilmod kafi kocho ha'idei de'mechuyev v'shinantem shi'ei divrei Torah michudatim b'ficha. So the Ran says, Akasha on this, you can potter yourself with Kriyat Shema morning and night. This is the words of the Ran. Ha'chayev lilmod kafi kocho ha'idei de'mechuyev v'shinantem levanecha v'yei Talmud Torah michudatim b'ficha. And you see, not only your kid has to be shinantim, you have to be shinantim. So the kafi kocho, no way out. You got to learn. Not forget about teach my kid. I got to go to work. No, you have to learn. The mitzvah to teach your kid is a mitzvah on yourself too. The shinantim applies to both. So the Ran says, listen, how is it that you can solve the problem of a shavua to learn a parak is a valid shavua by saying you can poter yourself with Kriyat Shema morning and night, and therefore to learn that extra parak that you just made a shavua to learn, it's not a shavua chalal shavua because it's mushba. That's extra. The shavua of the Har Sinai was to learn one word morning and night. So therefore the shavua is very good. The Ran says nothing doing. What happened? The shinam that you have to be mechudadim b'ficha and learn Torah constantly and know all the Torah. That's the Ran's kasha. But tirates. Tirates. The last word in the line is taf yud. Tirates. Tirates aram. The bira gemora lo de poter mechiuv Talmud Torah yidei Kriyat Shema shachris v'arvis. Ella the mekivin do asa masha mefurash b'Torah, and the chiyuv of shinantem is a drasha and not a chiyuv of the Torah. So that's a chiluk of the Ran. They have some understanding of the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, which is mifurash in the pasuk. I'm talking about a mitzvah doraisa. Even though it's a drush, it's a mitzvah doraisa. But part of the mitzvah doraisa is from a drush, not from the words of the pasuk itself. So Kriyat Shema morning and night is pasuk itself. So that's learning Torah day and night is morning and night. Right. That's a pasuk. Right. But learning Torah shinantem is not a pasuk beferish; it's a drasha. Right. That shinantem means shinun and mechudadim b'ficha. That's a drasha. So the Ran is going to now solve the problem of a shvua, which is chalal hashavua, and say, what's beferish in the Torah? You can't make a shavua on what's beferish because you already made a shavua in Har Sinai to do what the Torah says. But what's a drasha, you can make a shavua, and the shavua is chal. Therefore, a person can make a shavua that he's going to learn one parak.
Because it's more than one word.
Because it's not mefurish in the Torah that you have to learn and have the Torah qualitatively shinantem levanecha that you mechudatim b'ficha. You know the Torah. That's a drasha.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, so let me see what he wants from this Ran.
That's terrible.
Al korachot. You saw that the teretz of the Ran they make a difference between mefurish and a drasha. Valkein chala alav shavua kamo shechalal chetzi shir. Because of the mikan raya lama shekosa b'chidushav in shavuos.
Lama shekosa.
Lamashikosa. It's a raya for that which he said over there.
Okay.
The kaim shel yochel b'chetzi shivan avela. Tzorech havana. Now the Birkas Shmueil is going to tell you what is his problem based on this Ran. Tzorech havana. Amai lo have ze nishba lekayem holodami lechetzi shir. You can't tell me that the shinantim is like chetzi shir, not mafurish in the Torah. It's not the same.
I don't the concept of chetzi shir.
Chetzi shir, I lost you. Well, this is part of the parsha of making a shvua on what the Torah commanded you to do. So if a person makes a shavua that he won't eat a pig, so he's making a shvua on something that the Torah said not to do. So it's not a shavua.
Right.
But the Torah said don't eat a kazayas. This was a shir. If he said I'm making a shvua not to eat a chetzi zayas, then it's chal. So the question is that shvua on a chetzi shir the same as a shvua on a parak of learning, because it's like a chetzi shir. It's not mafurish in the Torah. The Birkas Shmueil says, well, the Ran is comparing them, and he's using that difference to say there's a difference between a drasha and mafurish. But I don't see that comparison. We'll see right away. Tzorech havona. Amai lo aveze nishba lekayim. I think it's a mitzvah a shvua of doing a mitzvah which is not chal. Halodami lechetzi shir. It's not like chetzi shir. Doko rega v'rega ika aseh shleima. You can't compare a little bit of learning and then more learning in order to have mechudadim b'ficha to a chetzi shir, because every single moment of learning and every word of learning is a mitzvah shleima by itself. So it should be that even if there's a minimum shir, the shvua should be chal on. It's called a shvua on a shvua when you make a shvua to learn more Torah, because you already had a shvua to learn all the Torah. They had a shvua already. Beferish in the Torah, every single word is another mitzvah by itself. It's not like a chetzi shir, part of a mitzvah, and then the shvua works. No, not true. It's a mitzvah, mitzvahs azeh shleima of limud Torah. V'chi im nishbash yilbash tzitzis chal shavua al yedei di boy poter nafshei. He could wear it for part of the day. So since he could pater himself, he doesn't wear it more after that. So then, could he have a shvu on that? L'choram, you have shalom or ken. You can't say that. They call rega v'rega have a mitzvah saseh shleimo. He's saying it's not like chetzi shir. To make a shavua on a new parak of learning is the same thing as making a shavua to wear tzitzis for 1 hour. So it doesn't help, because you're not pater yourself the hour before that hour from wearing tzitzis. The mitzvah is every moment and moment. It's a new mitzvah all the time. It's a constant. And therefore, your shavua should not work. So I say the same thing about Talmud Torah. If every mitzvah, every moment of learning is a mitzvah by itself, then okay, even if there's no minimum, and after one moment you finished that chiyuv in your potter, when you have to be osik in other things, fine. But what about the second minute? A new mitzvah. And therefore, I don't have a explanation of Bidul Torah other than Darchei. That's really his kasha. That's his kasha. And I don't want to go there. But he said, I have a kasha based on the Ran and based on the Gemara and Shabbos. I'm stuck. How do I get out of it? Now I'm going to give a teretz. What?
What happened?
What happened?
I should get back to
both the Ran, which is really more nogeya. Why does he need the Ran more than the Gemara and Shabbos about tzitzis? From Abaye, we learned the svara that every minute and minute is called as man kavua,
right,
and therefore it's not Darchei Shabbos. Therefore, it should Darchei Shabbos. But when I say a shavua about learning Torah, that's a little bit closer to home. So the Ran is a stronger raya really than the Gemara. Over there, I'm depending on a dimyon between tzitzis and every minute and minute, learning Torah every minute and minute. But now I have a beferish Ran that asked this kasha that, so what that learning Torah is every minute and minute, and you can be yotzi with Kriyat Shema of morning and night, and you don't need more than that if you're obligated if you're osik the rest of the day. So what? So what? You still have the next minute, and constantly there's going to be another mitzvah of learning Torah, and then I'll have a problem. How do you get out of Bidul Torah? This is kasha. I'm going to give an answer. Nira. The Birkas Shmueil says, Nira, the Bira Mishnah. Which Mishnah? The Mishnah of Peah that said, Elu Dvarim Shelem Shiur. I'm explaining the Grua. These were kashas on the Grua, and I have to explain the Grua. In other words, I'm not attacking Grua to disagree with him. I'm asking kashas on the Grua in order to understand more clearly what was his intention. What did he mafarish on the Mishnah of Peah? So now he says, I'm forced to say there are two dinim in the chiyuv of learning Torah. Two dinim. Now, what forces me to say two dinim? The kasha. So you better have a strong kasha to come up with two dinim. But he's solid. He has a basis. What are the two dinim, and how does it solve my problem? That's what I want to know. The two dinim are Aleph, the pasuk, Higisa bo yomam v'laylo, and it's the same as the pasuk of Shinantom. There should be mechudadim, and you have to know the Torah. There's another pasuk that says Shach v'chukumecha. The second pasuk of when you lie down, when you get up, Minehu Dishaminan Hodamatzinu and Menochois Dafilu Perak Echod Shachris Perak Echod Aravis, even one word, even Kriyat Shema, morning and night, Have Kiyum Chefza Shel Talmud Torah. Did you makayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah with one word morning, one word night? How do I know that? From Shafak Kukumecha. This is a big Kiddush because I'm learning this pasuk, which simply is telling us the times to say Shema. But since the paragraph of Shema Yisrael is where I learn also the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, how do you love Hashem? By learning His Torah. It says, "Ahavta es Hashem Elokecha, shinamti levanecha." So now I'm extending further. I'm saying, and even when I tell you that Kriyat Shema is morning and night, I'm not telling you really Kriyat Shema per se is morning and night. I'm really telling you also, and the mitzvah that it's in that first paragraph of learning Torah is morning and night. Morning and night. If it's morning and night, that means that one word in the morning, one word in the night, is enough to remove that mitzvah if you're occupied all the rest of the day with everything you wanted to do. So now, what do I gain by two dinim? Two dinim, by the way, means they're both there. Not this one now and this one then, both at the same time. They're both there. Two dinim are there. There's two different aspects which are a constant. So everything what we said in the simple understanding of the Grua, that one word is a mitzvah of learning Torah, and if the person is occupied with everything else and can't get out of it the rest of the day, then he's yotzi Talmud Torah with that one word. There's no minimum shiur. All that is in din number 2 of Shachvul Kumecha. but it doesn't affect din number one. Din number one is also there at the same time.
What's the pasuk? I didn't hear.
There's two dinim.
No, I heard that part. The pasuk is.
The one pasuk is shachvaka uvkumecha, when you lie down and get up. It's part of the parsha of Kriyat Shema. The other pasuk is shinantam. It's also in the parsha of Kriyat Shema, or higisa yomam v'laylo, which is a different place. But those two psukim, you with me? Those, but shinantam is also in Kriyat Shema.
What's it mean?
It means you should go over and repeat the Torah with your children. But the drasha is, it has to be sharp and clear and definite knowledge that you don't make any mistakes. And every question in all of Shas you can answer instantly. Get 100 on all your tests. That's shinantam.
Oh, yeah.
So
sorry, it has nothing to do with the time.
so he said
You could stop it
that
with Shinantam
that
to get the Recheret or something.
oh, so now the let me tell you how I'm going to use two dinim to solve my problem. You see, what we said till now is that we gave a definition of Bidul Torah according to the Grua, that Bidul Torah is where are you in your free time. I'm not asking you, who said you can leave the Beis Midrash and go out and do this and do that and do this other thing? Who gave you Roshos? You have a petek from the Mashgiach? That's called that Bidul Torah is a dechia. And you need an excuse to push away. Otherwise you have Bidul Torah. But we learned from the Gra that's not the definition of Bidul Torah. Bidul Torah is, no, you're Yotzi Torah with one minimum, and then the rest of the day, if you're preoccupied with other things, you don't have a problem with Bidul Torah. When do you have a problem with Bidul Torah? When your occupations don't take every other minute of the day, and you have a little free time. Then you got a big problem. Where are you? Where are you? How come you're not learning? You have a little free time. You're not busy doing something else, so why aren't you learning? That's the definition of the Grua. Now the Birkas Shmueil had kashas on that is also a mitzvah of learning that's a constant. So how do I avoid saying dechia? So the teretz is two dinim. I'm going to use the two dinim like this. I'm going to say all what we said about Bidul Torah, that where are you in your free time? And that's when you have to worry about Bidul Torah. That's all in the context of one of these two din. Now, but what about the other din? Now, the two dinim are coexistent. They don't contradict. I'm not going to say because there's another din of learning Torah called Yomam V'Layla, that therefore you're back in the hole and Bidul Torah has to be redefined. The purpose of the two dinim is in order to have both svaras coexist. That's what I mean by two dinim. I'm not going to say that the Grua was only talking about this din, but in this other din, where does Bidul Torah come in? A whole different world. And then I have to change my definitions. So he's not going to say that. He's going to say, no, the two dinim are constant. They're both there all the time. Let me explain how that's going to reshuffle and affect our picture. And based on the Gemara in the Nedarim and the Ran and the Gemara in Shabbos, the Birkas Shmueil is saying, well, this is not a chiddush to the Gra. All this is given. When I go and explain the Mishnah according to the Gra, I have to include all these things in my understanding of what the Gra said. That's why two dinim is a teretz. So he says, let's organize our thinking like this. I have to first get what are the two dinim. Let's get the facts. What are the two dinim the Birkas Shmueil is talking about? How can I picture them, define them, feel them, know about them? Two dinim. and then after that, I'll come and get reap the results. Then after that, I want to know, now what do I gain? Now I know about these 2 dinim, what do I gain? So let's take a detour now. What are the 2 dinim? Could we define them, explain them? Besides, I associated one with one pasuk in the Torah, one with another pasuk in the Torah. What are these 2 dinim? So he's going to explain. One din of limud Torah, of the chiyuv of limud Torah, is igisa bo yom balaylo. The other din of limud Torah is shachva kumecho. From the second one of shachva, from there, we learn what we said in Menachos, da'afilu perek echad shachris, perek echad arvis, gam kein havi kiyum chefza shel Talmud Torah. Benimsa, the masha bo adrosha b'shinantim. Now this is back to since the perek echad is yotzi the mitzvah. Now what does the second of those 2 laws, the 2 dinim, the one of shinantim? What do I learn from that? Rotze lomar, do lo yotza dayan chiyuv ayidei perek echad ela de mechuyev od kol hayom v'kol halaylo umikol makom im bo lefonenu mitzvah shemechuyev lafsik az memela yotza yidei teva sheloma lefi zeh lo dami klal chiyuv kol rega the Talmud Torah lechiyuv kol rega the tzitzis. This is already giving a teretz based on the 2 dinim. Let me just focus on what is the definition of the 2 dinim. So there's a, I would put it like this, that there's a qualitative mitzvah of learning Torah, that when a person is learning one word of Torah, and he's not thinking about running out the door to go to work. He's not yawning while they quickly finish the half-hour daf yomi shir at 6 a.m. He's learning with all his being. Qualitative learning. Where's your head? Are you all there? Are you thinking with everything you've got to understand the Torah? I don't care that you can only do that for 1 minute, and after that you got to run out the door. But don't be thinking about running out of the door for that 1 minute. You wouldn't even gain the 1 minute. That 1 minute, qualitatively, has to be a mitzvah of Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. I don't care the time is short, but put your whole being in it. Means to say, the posik of Shachva Kumecha that tells you 1 minute is a chetz of learning Torah is a qualitative mitzvah of learning Torah. Shinantem, that you have to be knowledgeable in all the Torah, you have to learn constantly, is a quantitative mitzvah. That how are you going to know all the Torah unless you spend more than a minute a day? A minute a day, you think you're going to know all the Torah? You're going to be able to answer all the questions that people ask you? When they want to know about Hilchas Pesach, you'll know all the answers? When they want to get shot in Mekadosh B'Milvah, you're going to know all the answers? Takes time. That takes time. So that's called a quantitative mitzvah of learning Torah. So I'm making two laws, and I'm going to tell you right away that I'm making them backwards of what the simple svara would be. The 2 laws are, there's a qualitative quality of tremendous mitzvah of learning Torah. That's what we're created to do. Hashem created us with a brain, with the capacity to speak and think. And that's why the Ramchal explains to us that, the basis of learning Torah is that the mind was created with certain kulas of the seichel that are naturally there. Why did Hashem create our minds with these certain things we do of deciding what to do and being able to absorb what a text says, and yes, I took it in. I can tell you a Dibra Yasha what that says, and to mechadesh and extend and get new ideas. Why do we have that capacity? Why do we have those mind pulas of what the mind is capable of doing? Hashem created us that way to learn His Torah. So now, I didn't ask you how much time did you learn Torah. I didn't ask you, did you show up for the whole morning Seder? Did you come on time? Did you punch the clock when you left? Do you deserve to get a kollel check at the end of the month? I didn't ask you that. I asked, where were you? Are you there? Did you focus with all your energy? Did you use the capacities that Hashem gave you to the ultimate, as far as you can? I'm not talking about people are all different. But what you're able to do, did you use everything you've got to understand the Torah? For that one, okay, so you only had 1 minute. I'm exaggerating. Maybe you had an hour, maybe you had a couple of hours. But those couple of hours, did you put all your energy? Where's your head? Did you put all your energy there and work as hard as you can to understand the greatness of the Torah? Okay, that's a mitzvah called Talmud Torah, Keneged Kulam. But that's not the only mitzvah of learning Torah there is. There's two mitzvahs. One goes on top of the other. They're both together. Then one doesn't contradict the other. The other one is, you got to know it. How are you going to know it if you're limited to a very short time every day? You're not going to know it. Okay, you could have the well-meaning intentions to know it, as Rabbeinu Chaim said in his pamphlet called Darchei Shel Torah. They asked him the kasha. There's all these sweet Jews out there, people that they're religious, and they failed to become Gedolei Torah, and they failed. They became instead doctors and lawyers. They make a good living. But they're not. They failed. So how come they're still religious? According to Rabbeinu Chaim, if they're not learning for the purpose of being Gedolei Torah, they're becoming lawyers and doctors instead. They're on their road to becoming non-believers, and they'll be mumarim and off the track. They're not going to. Okay, not them. Their kids, their grandchildren. Somebody. It's not going to last. There's no way to have a continuation of Torah like that. What was Rabbeinu Chaim's answer? So he said that, I'll tell you why those people are successful. And they're Yirei Shemayim, and they're sweet Jews. I'll tell you why. Because when they started out, they had that goal of to know the Torah, to be Gaonei Torah, to be Gedolei Torah, to have that chokhmah of back and forth, how to weigh and handle the problems of life and not fall in the hole. That's what a person needs. So now, can you get that if you don't have enough time to learn? Okay, you'll do the best you can. Everybody wins. There's no such thing as not winning. Because however far you get, if that's your goal, and you do the best you can to get there, you'll get a lot. You'll get a lot. And I'll tell you the story about becoming a gadol. The Rebbe repeated, it's a famous story. Everybody knows this story. The author of the Chai Adam was a dayan in Vilna. He was a great Talmud Chacham, a great gadol b'Torah. How did he get there? He was in business. He's busy with his work. And he didn't have a lot of time to learn. And I don't know if I have my times right. It could be not exact in the story. He went to the Gra, and the Gra gave him an eitzah. He said, you don't have much time to learn. learn 2 halachas a day from the Shulchan Aruch, 2 sifim of Shulchan Aruch every day. If you do that, you'll get some learning. Okay, 1 year went by, 5 years went by, 20 years went by. Pretty soon, he's a baki, and he's knowledgeable. Shinanta levanecha, on those 2 halachas a day, he became knowledgeable and a great man. Shinanta levanecha is no greater shinanta than that. He became a chief dayan in Vilna. There are a lot of Gedolei Torah in Vilna, and he knew the Torah, and then he wrote the Chai Adam to help us also. You learn 2 halachas a day. Don't minimize. So nobody should sell themselves short and say, well, how much I concentrate, what do I do, what do I think, how can I become a Gadol b'Torah? So the Chai Adam is the proof of the pudding. Don't think about the just the quality, the how much in order to become a Gadol b'Torah. Think about the quality too. And the quality, that's why I say the 2 laws. One is quality. It's obviously the more important one, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. And the other one is quantity. That after the first minute, what about the second minute? You still got to learn. So the teretz the Birkas Shmueil is going to give to his problem is the first minute and the second minute are not the same law. That obligation, the second minute, is because you've got to fill up the tank with lots of Torah. It's quantitative, not qualitative. Quantitative. You can't stop after 1 minute. Fill up the tank. You have a lot of Torah to learn. It's a big Torah out there. You got to put a lot of time to be able to know all that. But that's not the qualitative mitzvah. The qualitative mitzvah, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, is where you take your pulas haseichel, and you take your mind and your and what you're created for, and sit down and learn Hashem's Torah with all your strength. Get excited. That's Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. That's Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. So now, let me apply this. Before I go further to get the teretz of the Birkas Shmueil, I want to explain one more point. I would have thought Shinantem has to be sharp and clear, and you got to know it. I would have thought that's the qualitative aspect. And quantitative aspect is Nebuch, he's got to go to work, so or he's got to finish law school and become a doctor and a lawyer and a professor. So okay, at least a few minutes a day, half asleep, go to that Daf Yomi Shir, because you got to learn Torah every morning, every night, So at least put a little time into learning. But the qualitative one is you have to know the Torah. Shinantem has to be clear and sharp in your mouth. Instantly. Instant answers. Someone asks you a question, give them the answer. Tell them already. What does the Torah say? I want to know what the Torah says. So I think when we go further in the Birkas Shmueil, we're going to see that I'm right. What would be on the surface of it, which one is quantity and which one is quality, but it's really the exact opposite. The one of 1 minute, 1 word, is the qualitative one. And the one of being knowledgeable in all the Torah, quantitative one. And now let me explain what happens when you put all your energy into that few minutes you had to learn in the morning and the night, and then the rest of the day you're Torah with who knows what, all busy. You can't. Got to run. You can't stop. Every minute and more mitzvahs and more derech and more parnas and who knows what. You're just stuck all day long. You can't get a free minute.
The Romans press us.
What?
The Romans.
That's if we're slaves. We're not in Lamaisa, Baruch Hashem, we're not slaves, you know. Once I met a guy on the bus, and he took out a credit card, one of these plastic cards, waved it in my face and said, "We're all slaves today. You see this card? We're all slaves to this card." Okay, it's a nice thought. But see, the emphasis, we're not slaves. And the test of Bittul Torah is, like I said, when you finish all that running around, do you have any energy left, any time left? The answer is yes. You'd be surprised how many hours there are in the day. A lot of time in the day. A lot of time in the day. So now let me come back here. The reason why I set them up, that the one that covers the second minute and the third minute is of Shinantem. That law is the quantitative law. And the one of putting all your energy and all your excitement in the now. Learn Torah. Get excited. That one's Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. That's the qualitative one. So now, how does that solve my problem? Because once I'm Yotzei, so to speak, with the mitzvah of Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, even in one word, then after that, I don't need a Dechia. There's no Bittul Torah. I have to do what I have to do. Bittul Torah is not Shayach. But there's a certain superficial level where there's such a thing as Bittul Torah. But don't get confused about what's the main and what's the tofel. You see? Because where does Bittul Torah come in is, okay, suppose you're Torah for hours and hours of the day with mitzvahs and what you have to do. Takes up 5 hours, 8 hours, 9-hour job, who knows what. Takes up time.
Pesach.
Right?
Pesach cleaning.
Okay, Pesach cleaning, who knows it. You know, but there's 30 days before Pesach to learn Hilchos Pesach, you can't neglect, right? So where's Bittul Torah in the quantitative picture? I'll explain it very clearly. This is what the Birkas Shmueil is really going to say, is that in the quantitative picture of you need more time to be knowledgeable in all the Torah. So you're right. If you are Torah, you'll have Bittul Torah on the level of that you didn't put in the time. You can't get a patur from knowing all the Torah, because in reality, if you don't put in the time, you're not going to know all the Torah. So it doesn't push it off, because what are you going to do? If you have to know all the Torah, so okay, you learn, you put all your energy and you're excited, and you came to the yeshiva, Mesiras Nefesh, and you learn Torah, and Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, the biggest, greatest mitzvah there is, with all your energy, not falling half asleep while someone said something to you. All your energy, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. Okay, good. After that, you could call that a hefza of learning Torah, because you took all your God-given qualities and each unique individual, what he has to bring to that mitzvah, and did it. Okay, good. After that, if you're Torah, I don't say you have Bittul Torah, because you're Torah. You did that hefza of 1 minute of learning Torah. But I can't say that when you have to get up and run around, that you're going to end up knowing all the Torah quantitatively. No. But so now the I can't get out of that. You can't be Torah all day long and still know all the Torah. There's an Afalpi position, which is like that great Godel, the Chayadam. He learned 2 halachas a day. He was a businessman, and he became the chief dayan of Vilna. So, but that's just a raya that the qualitative learning can become a quantity over time. But don't think that if you have to stop learning and do something else, that you can get the time to know all the Torah not so simple. You'll be missing that time. You need that time. It's that second mitzvah of Talmud Torah is quantitative. It's shinantem. It's yomam v'laylo. It takes a lifetime to know the Torah. Day and night. You have to give up time. You have to think, oi, when am I going to finish Shas? So, you're right. But the Iker and also the definition of Bidul Torah all comes from the qualitative definition. So that's really the more or less how he's going to solve the Gra. You have questions?
That minute has to be.
With all you got. With all you got. That is the test of what is the mitzvah of learning Torah. And suppose Hashem gave you more than a minute. Suppose you're zoicha to come learn in a yeshiva. So, not 1 minute all you got and the rest of the time fall asleep. That's part of din number 2. I'm only talking about a person who's Torah and has problems. They don't have, Hashem didn't let them come in. But we're zoicha. Hashem gave us a gift to come and learn in a yeshiva. What could be greater than that? So put all your energy. Put all your energy. Don't hold back. But Rabbi, I'll get tired by lunchtime if I do that. So you'll get tired. So what? So what? Put all your energy. Don't hold back. That's the mitzvah of Talmud Torah on the qualitative level. So now, let me go back here. I'm going to start to now sift through kasha, teirus. How do we solve the problem? How do we apply the two dinim? So let's put our heads into the kasha and teirus of the Birkas Shmueil. So he says, it's not like tzitzis.
You're still in the era?
I didn't go that far. I'm about a quarter of the way down or a third of the way down. Lefizeh. The first word in the line is memela yotzon. Then he says lefizeh in the middle of the line. You see that place?
No.
Memela, it's about a quarter of the way down the paragraph of Benira.
The
first word is memela. Now go to the comma and we'll start to read. Lefizeh lo dami klal. The chiyuv of kol rega of Talmud Torah, the chiyuv of kol rega of tzitzis. Let's think about that a minute. The chiyuv of kol rega of tzitzis and the chiyuv of kol rega of Torah. And first of all, the chiyuv of kol rega, which one are we talking about? Quantitative or qualitative? I think kol rega, we're talking about the quantitative one. That is to say, you have to know all the Torah, and it's going to take you time to know all the Torah. You can't expect in 1 word morning, 1 word night to know all the Torah. So, but in the Yomam V'Layla one, which is quantitative, so there's a big difference between Kol Rega V'Rega of this mitzvah and Kol Rega V'Rega of tzitzis. Gabe tzitzis, Kol Rega V'Rega, Mechayavaso b'chiyuv b'fnei atzmo. Al b'Torah hu chiyuv echad. Dechal b'shas kima. La'asos limud shel kol hayom. V'chein layla. Higisa bo yomim v'layla. So what is the difference? They just explained to us. Kol rega of tzitzis is that 1 minute of wearing tzitzis, mitzvah. Another minute, mitzvah. So but the mitzvah of learning, and therefore we said that in Abaya's Havamina, to reject Rabbi Yosef, we said that therefore tzitzis is a constant and should be Darchei Shabbos to prepare your tzitzis, because a mitzvah, it's a constant mitzvah to wear tzitzis. Every minute's a mitzvah. But the mitzvah of Yom V'Layla of Torah is not every minute a mitzvah. it's a one piece called daytime.
Tzitzis.
No, Torah. Tzitzis every minute and minute, and the little grains of sand add up to a big pile that you have to do tzitzis constantly. But the pieces are all separate little pieces that go into a pile. They don't become one unit. But Torah is not just a minute, and another minute, and another minute, another minute, and each they each one become a pile of grains of sand. No, they unite into a single unit called a whole day. So now, let me use more of my Ramchal words besides quantity, quality. The in quantity, so there are two types of quantity. You remember this in Sefer HaGaon. What are the two types of quantity? Kamos in Sefer HaGaon. You remember? Anybody knows? Kamos nifrad, kamos dovek. What's the difference between kamos nifrad, kamos dovek? So tzitzis, the mitzvah of every minute and minute of tzitzis is a kamos nifrad. That is to say, I've got 68,548 grains of wearing tzitzis. It adds up to a pretty big pile. But each one is a separate little piece. That's called wearing tzitzis all the time. But each little piece is another piece. It adds together. That's called a kamos nifrad. You put all the beans in the jar, and you could ask, how many beans are in this jar? Right? Count them up. Kamos nifrad means a quantity of separate individual multitude of items. There's another word kamos, called kamos dovek, like a glass of water. You don't ask how many drops are in a glass of water. You ask how many ounces are there? How many cc's are there? That's called a kamos dovek. You measure it with a shear. You don't measure it by pieces. But a kamos nifrad, you measure it by the pieces. So now, all day wearing tzitzis. Every minute is a mitzvah. And Lamais, you have to wear tzitzis all the time. All day learning Torah. And Lamais, every minute is a mitzvah. What's the difference? So the Birkas Shmueil just told us that tzitzis is a kamos nifrad. It's a big pile of sand with, I don't know how many grains of sand are in the pile, but it's a big pile. That's called wearing tzitzis all day long. But Torah, in the quantitative law, kamos, of shinanta, of higiso v'yomam v'laylo. So it's not a kamos nifrad of a bunch of little grains that it becomes a big pile. It's a kamos dovek. It's a single unit of 5 hours of learning Torah without a break. You know, the Chazon Ish wrote that he has some very interesting. I quoted some of it in the old editions of Darchei HaGemara. You have in the back a few points of Darchei limud of the Chazon Ish. A very nice little collection of things from the Chazon Ish. Not in this one. It's an old print. They printed it in Bnei Brak 50 years ago. So they included the Chazon Ish. In fact, the Chazon Ish is the one who wanted to print Darchei HaGemara back then.
Not with your old printings.
I never printed Darchei HaGemara yet. I'm talking about the one that if you ever had the little black one, that little black skinny one, and then there's a larger pink one like this one, this red one here. So that the old ones have the Chazon Ish in the back. So this is a newer one. This is from Rabbi Dr. Lang,
From the 80s.
Zatzal.
From the 80s.
What?
36 years at least.
How many?
36.
It's from 1981, Dr. Lang, Rabbi Lang. the one from the Chazon Ish is from the 50s. So anyway, back to the Chazon Ish. Very important rule. It's okay. It's exactly what the Birkas Shmueil says right here. The Chazon Ish said that it's totally eino doma to sit down and learn Iyun for an hour, and then you have to go out, or to sit down and learn Iyun without a break. I don't have to bop you on the head with a tiniest dibur or anything. It's just you're so involved in learning, you can't think about anything else. You don't stop for anything. If you learn Iyun for 4 or 5 hours in a row, without a break, but Rabbi, can I stop for a cup of coffee? If you were learning Iyun for 4 or 5 hours in a row, you wouldn't even think about the cup of coffee. The Chazon Ish says, eino doma. Learning Iyun for an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, is totally not the same as learning Iyun for 4 or 5 hours in a row without a break. So that's what the Birkas Shmueil writes when he says the mitzvah of Yomim V'Layla is a kamus dovek. That is to say, there's a single unit of time called a day, called 5 hours, a single unit of learning for that extended time. It's not kol rega, like the 5 hours is really a collection of a few thousand minutes all piled on top in a big pile of sand. Kamos nifrad. Tzitzis can add up all day long, but it's nothing but a pile of sand. It's a bunch of little pieces that add up. The relation between the tzitzis 1 minute and the tzitzis the other minute is that they all add up to a long time, but it's each separate little piece. It's kamos nifrad. But the mitzvah of learning Torah in the first law of Yomim V'Layla Shinantem, which is quantitative also, it's not the same as a pile of little tiny pieces that happens to be a big pile after enough time went by. No, it's a quantity where it becomes a different thing because there's more of it. It's a kamos dovek. It's like the Chazon Ish says, you can't compare the mastery of Torah, of shinantim, of going deep into the Torah, knowing the Torah, of a person who learns an hour here, an hour there. Even if on the kollel card, that guy is a bigger masmid than this guy that came in for 5 hours in a row. But learning 5 hours in a row is a whole different world. So now
he says that when he said the Val Torah Zug V'Chad.
That's right. All those little pieces are called one entity. One entity. Not like tzitzis. That's the difference between tzitzis and Torah. Even though he said about both of them, kol rega v'rega. But that's the difference between tzitzis and Torah. Now, and therefore what? How is that going to help me in understanding my kasha and teretz of the Birkas Shmueil? You know, we're doing iyun on the Gaon of Vilna. You know what the Gaon of Vilna is? We're doing iyun on what he said. We're not just reading the Vilna Gaon, said very nice. We read it. We're thinking about it. We're dealing with it conceptually, and we're putting it together with the Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Kuf Lamed Aleph. We're putting it together with the Ran in the Dorim, with the Ran's Chidushim in Shavuos. These are all things that are on our fingertips. You have to put it together. How can you expect to understand the Grua if you don't put in the information and compute what did the Grua really have in mind? What was he talking about? That's the work the Birkas Shmueil is doing for us. Tremendous. We're doing iyun in depth on this Grua. So now it comes out like this. Now how are we going to solve? Let's get to our kasha and teretz based on this little chiluk of kamas dove, kamas nifra. What happens? I'll read it again inside so you make sure that you're with me. Lefi zeh lo dami klal chiyuv rega the Talmud Torah chiyuv kol rega of tzitzis. Gabi tzitzis kol rega v'rega mechayav aso chiyuv bifnei atzmo. Each one is a nifrad, a single grain of sand that adds up to a pile. Aval b'Torah hu chiyuv echod. That whole yomam v'laylo is a whole single entity. The chal b'shas kima. It starts when you get up and wake up. Now you got to learn Torah all day long. Lazos limud shel kol hayom kol halaylo. And that's in Kamus. What about in Eichos? Now, I suppose my friend Rabbi Baruch Ber must have known about these concepts of the Ramchal, Kamus, Eichos, words I thought nobody says except the Ramchal, and here he talks about Eichos. All that was in Kamus. That was a chilik in Kamus. Now we're going to talk about Eichos. V'chein be'Eichos. Eichos? What's Eichos? L'mashal, im yesh mi she'ochel lilmod b'rega achas al yedei akoach hadibur shelo.
It's interesting. He didn't use the word kamas, though, did he?
No, but when he says
Yeah.
Eichos,
He's
that implies
setting
that till
aside
now I
the
was
other
talking
word
about Kamas.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to talk about Eichos. You're right, Yoshua.
Yeah.
So he says, now what about Eichos? Now Eichos, there's some people who their Koach HaDibur is much more powerful. They learn, say, from Melitza of the Ramchal. Vayidei HaSeichel Shelo Yoter Mechavero Hu Mechuyev Lilmod Kafi Kocho. Now, everybody has a chiyuv to learn Torah. You think Torah is just for those sharpies out there? Everybody else should just go to work and become lawyers and doctors and failures? No. Everybody's supposed to learn Torah. But just like I said that there's differences in Kamus, there's differences in Eichos. Our Eichos means quality as opposed to quantity. Eichos. Quality. Now the quality of one person learning Torah for a few minutes is not the same as the quality of another person learning Torah also for the same few minutes. If someone is more trained with methods of the Ramchal, he's going to accomplish more. And if he's an Ilui, he's going to accomplish more. And if he's from the generation of the Rishonim, he's going to accomplish light years more. We couldn't even have any concept of what he'll accomplish in 1 minute. What about the Gedolim of the previous generation? The Rebbe always told us that what a schus it was to know these Gedolim who came out of Europe. You have no idea what they were like. No idea. Rabbi Zimmerman Zatzal says a story when he came to Kamenetz that he didn't understand who the Birkas Shmueil was. It's his uncle, but he didn't really know him. And then one time, and they didn't have tons of seforim like we have today, but one time, one of the Talmidim came up to the Birkas Shmueil after the shir during the break from Mincha, and showed him a tshuva of the Marash Dam that from that he had a kasha on the Birkas Shmuel shir. This is a big book like this, little tiny print, not in 2 columns. The lines go all the way across the page like that, little tiny letters, and the Birkas Shmuel was interested in it, and the Talmud had a ha'ara. He took the book and went like this with his finger down the page for a minute or two. I don't know whose the book belonged to, but that was it. For the next 2 weeks, he gave a shir on that tshuva. That's called a person who has an eichus, in quality, how to use his time. To what level did he think?
How long did they teach it for? 3 weeks, you said?
2-3 weeks. But he saw it for a few minutes. He saw the tshuva for a few minutes. That was enough to be excited about it and think about it and delve into it and rethink it over a period of time in his year. So, just like I say in Kamos, the Torah is a certain type of Kamos that the learning for hours, a certain unit of learning. It's a whole different world. In Eichus is also a whole different world. The Eichus of a person who learns for a few minutes and they have the ability to go so much deeper. So it's a different world. I'll read again. V'chein b'Eichus. L'mashal, אם יש מי שיכול ללמוד ברגע אחת על ידי כוח הדיבור שלו and על ידי שכל שלו יותר מחברו, suppose he has more of those abilities and training. Then he's mechuyev. Every bit of that capability that he has, it adds to the quality of what he's obligated to do. Can he just sit there daydreaming and get a mitzvah of learning Torah? No. This person has the ability to learn. He better put his mind to it. Use his maximum. What he's able to do. Aval, ein achiyuv hazeh shaveh b'kol ish v'ish. Another person obviously doesn't have that chiyuv because they didn't train themselves yet in that level. Kagom, shele'echad nizdamein mitzvah o davar acher shu gam kein mitzvah umafsik. A person has something to do and they stop. Bish hazeh have kiyum ayidei hamiksa shalomad ulegabe ish mizrael the lo bo leyado shum davar shemechuyev lahafsik az have kiyumo dafka ayidei shalomed kol hayom bekol halayla v'nimsa dachiyuv shel Shinantem, and the chiyuv of higiso, those two laws, one quantity and one quality. Hakol hu dinim b'chiyuv Talmud Torah shel ha'aseh shach b'chav kumecha v'hashtam asi shapir mada omar mishnah seinu da Talmud Torah ein lo shir. Where I get to the teretz, so let's see what he said exactly. He said that there's levels and levels of a kamus dovek, of the mastery of Torah, which is possible in 1 hour of learning without a break, 5 hours of learning without, not the same. Those different kamus are not the same. Same thing in eichus. The eichus of a person who's trained and has worked on his mind. I'll just add one parenthesis. The Ramchal holds, it's a big Kiddush, a very big yesod. He holds, you think that the type of mind that the person has that we're talking about here, that he knows his koach hadibur and his koach haseichel is very powerful. You think that that's just an innate born quality? The Ramchal says no. Training. Everybody can take their mind and train it and improve it and become that goyin. It's really why the Birkas Shmueil said everybody has to become a goyin b'Torah. How can I become a goyin b'Torah? I don't have that kind of head. I'm not one of those iluyim from Voloshin, you know. So how can I become a goyin b'Torah? So the Ramchal's answer is the mind is like a uncultivated tree. If you work the land around it, if you if you take care of it, if you learn how to train it and cultivate it and prune it and develop it, you can improve it. Now, most people don't believe that you can improve the mind. Most people think you got these IQ tests. That's what I got is what I got. What's up there, that's what's up there. And, that's the end of the story. The Ramchal doesn't agree. I don't think the Birkas Shmueil does either. So now, let's go back to here. A qualitative difference of what a person does with his time in learning. Qualitative difference. Is it?
It's not one minute, not really. I don't know. Isn't it pashut? You learn 1 hour, you're gonna learn some X, and in 5 hours, you're gonna learn a lot more than X. It's like.
But 5 times or 50 times? The Chazon Ish says 50 times, not 5 times. Yeah. And the same thing applies to Eichus. So I didn't
Same
yet.
thing.
Saying it's exponential,
50
not
times.
unit.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm going to go over this again. I still need to do the Shachla V'Taria. How does this chiluk of the 2 dinim that we described today, how does that go into the simple kash and teres of understanding the Groa and Iyun? What was the kash? What was the teres? What came out? That I have to work on a little further. I'm going to stop here.
Which
The Groa in Shnos Eliyahu.
And you have on these 4 pages. And
Right here.
This the
This
Gra?
is the
No.
Groa.
Then you gain.
This is the book called Shnos Eliyahu.
This is not Perak Peh? This is not.
No.
It says
This
Perak Peh.
this is a sefer called Shnos Eliyahu HaAruch. The chapter in Shnos Eliyahu HaAruch is the one that he writes on Masechet Peh
So
Perak
this is
Aleph.
the Gra. So
This is the Gra. Also, you look here in Os Hey,
Yeah, but-
V'zeh Lashon B'Shnos Eliyahu, Reish Peh.
Right,
But
right,
this
right.
whole
We
paragraph
did that
is
yesterday.
this quote.
We started
Okay.
doing that yesterday.
What's the difference?